As the new year approaches, millions of people set resolutions to transform their lives. Yet by February, most of these aspirations have faded into memory. What separates those who achieve lasting transformation from those who fall back into old patterns? The answer may lie in the wisdom of a 17th-century Japanese swordsman who became one of history's most celebrated martial artists and philosophers, Miyamoto Musashi. Musashi was more than a legendary duelist who remained undefeated in over 60 battles. He was a strategist, artist, and philosopher whose teachings on mastery, discipline, and self-cultivation remain profoundly relevant 4 centuries later. His classic text, The Book of Five Rings, offers not just martial strategy but a complete philosophy for personal excellence. This new year, rather than making hollow resolutions, consider adopting the principles that guided one of history's most formidable individuals. The way of walking alone, self-reliance and inner strength. Near the end of his life, Musashi wrote Kodo, The Way of Walking Alone, a brief text containing 21 precepts for living with integrity and purpose. The first principle sets the tone: accept everything just the way it is. This doesn't mean passive resignation, but rather a radical acceptance of reality as the starting point for all meaningful change. Most people begin their self-improvement journey by denying their current reality. They create elaborate fantasies about who they'll become while refusing to honestly assess where they are now. Musashi teaches the opposite approach. Look at yourself clearly, without illusion or self-deception. Acknowledge your weaknesses, your failures, your current limitations. Only from this ground of truth can you build something authentic and lasting. Self-reliance was central to Musashi's philosophy. He advised against dependence on others for your sense of purpose or validation. This doesn't mean isolation or refusing help, but rather cultivating an unshakable core that doesn't require external approval to maintain its integrity. In our age of social media validation and constant comparison, this principle feels more necessary than ever. Your transformation must be for yourself, not for Instagram likes or external applause. The discipline of daily practice. Small steps, relentless consistency. Musashi's mastery didn't come from occasional bursts of intense effort but from daily, deliberate practice over decades. He trained every single day, refining technique, studying strategy, and pushing beyond his current capabilities. This principle of consistent daily practice is perhaps his most actionable teaching for modern self-improvement. The mistake most people make with New Year's resolutions is attempting massive overnight transformations. They commit to working out 2 hours daily, completely overhauling their diet, reading a book every week, learning a new language, and meditating an hour each morning. Within days, this unsustainable approach collapses under its own weight. Musashi's approach suggests something different. Identify the specific skills and practices that will move you toward mastery, then commit to them daily with unwavering consistency. 20 minutes of focused practice each day will outperform occasional marathon sessions. The key is making the practice non-negotiable, something as fundamental to your day as eating or sleeping. Choose 1 or 2 areas where you genuinely want to improve. Not areas where you think you should improve or where others expect you to improve, but where your authentic desire for growth lives. Then design a daily practice that's challenging enough to create progress but sustainable enough to maintain for years, not weeks. Strategy and adaptation. Know your terrain. Musashi emphasized understanding the terrain before engaging in battle. He studied his opponents, the environment, timing, and circumstances. He adapted his approach based on the specific conditions he faced. This strategic thinking applies directly to personal development. Most people fail at self-improvement because they adopt someone else's strategy without considering their own unique circumstances, strengths, and challenges. The morning routine that works for a single entrepreneur will differ from what works for a parent of young children. The diet and exercise program that transforms one person may be completely wrong for another. This year, become a strategist of your own life. Study yourself with the same intensity Musashi studied his opponents. When do you have the most energy? What environments bring out your best work? What triggers your destructive patterns? What obstacles consistently derail your progress? Armed with this self-knowledge, you can design approaches specifically suited to your situation rather than forcing yourself into ill-fitting templates. Musashi also taught flexibility within discipline. While maintaining his daily practice, he constantly experimented with techniques, weapons, and approaches. He didn't rigidly cling to methods that weren't working. Apply this same adaptability to your self-improvement. If an approach isn't producing results after a genuine, sustained effort, be willing to adjust. Discipline doesn't mean mindless repetition. It means committed experimentation until you discover what works. The void, emptying the cup. In the Book of Five Rings, Musashi's final book is the Book of the Void, discussing the emptiness from which all things emerge. This concept challenges our usual approach to self-improvement, which tends to focus on adding more knowledge, more habits, more productivity techniques, more possessions. Musashi suggests that true mastery often comes from subtraction rather than addition. Empty the cup so it can be filled with something new. Let go of the beliefs, habits, and identities that no longer serve you. Release the need to be right, the addiction to comfort, the stories you tell yourself about your limitations. The void, emptying the cup. In the Book of Five Rings, Musashi's final book is the Book of the Void, discussing the emptiness from which all things emerge. This concept challenges our usual approach to self-improvement, which tends to focus on adding more knowledge, more habits, more productivity techniques, more possessions. Musashi suggests that true mastery often comes from subtraction rather than addition. Empty the cup so it can be filled with something new. Let go of the beliefs, habits, and identities that no longer serve you. Release the need to be right, the addiction to comfort, the stories you tell yourself about your limitations. Create space in your life. Physical space by decluttering your environment, mental space by reducing information overload and unnecessary commitments, and emotional space by releasing resentments and unproductive worries. From this spaciousness, clarity emerges about what truly matters and what actions will have the greatest impact. No regret, decisive action without hesitation. Musashi wrote, "Do not regret what you have done." This doesn't mean refusing to learn from mistakes, but rather not paralyzing yourself with endless second-guessing and rumination. Once you've made a decision, commit to it fully. Learn from the results, but don't waste energy on regret. One reason people struggle with transformation is that they never fully commit to their choices. They start a new program while secretly doubting it will work. They make a change while constantly looking over their shoulder at the path not taken. This divided commitment produces mediocre results, which then confirms their doubts in a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you choose a direction this year, choose it completely. Give it your full effort and attention for a meaningful period before evaluating results. If it doesn't work, learn from the experience and choose a different path with the same full commitment. Musashi's life was defined by this quality of total engagement. Whether in combat, calligraphy, or strategy, he brought complete presence and commitment to what he was doing. This also means accepting that transformation involves uncertainty and risk. You cannot guarantee outcomes, only your effort and commitment. Musashi entered every duel knowing he might die, yet he fought with complete focus and skill. Similarly, you must embrace your self-improvement journey knowing you might fail, while giving it everything you have anyway. The long view, a lifetime journey. Musashi didn't achieve mastery in a year, or even a decade. He devoted his entire life to the path of continuous improvement, constantly refining his skills and understanding until his final days. He viewed self-cultivation not as a project with an endpoint but as a lifelong way of being. This perspective transforms how we approach New Year's resolutions. Instead of treating the new year as a starting line for a short sprint to a fixed destination, see it as one step on a lifelong journey. The goal isn't to become perfect by December, or even by the end of your life. The goal is to commit to a path of continuous growth, knowing that the practice itself is the point. This removes the crushing pressure that causes many resolutions to fail. You don't need to transform overnight because you have a lifetime to evolve. This paradoxically makes change easier. When you're not frantically trying to force rapid transformation, you can relax into sustainable daily practices that accumulate profound results over time. Musashi also understood that mastery in one area develops qualities that transfer to all areas of life. The discipline cultivated through martial arts enhanced his calligraphy and strategic thinking. The focus required for calligraphy sharpened his combat awareness. Rather than compartmentalizing different aspects of life, he recognized that deep practice in any domain develops universal capacities: focus, discipline, adaptability, and presence. Practical application. Your Musashi-inspired year. How might you apply Musashi's principles to become the best version of yourself this coming year? Here are concrete steps. Accept your current reality without illusion. Spend time in honest self-assessment before making any plans. Where are you actually starting from? What are your real obstacles? What patterns have consistently held you back? Write this down with brutal honesty. Choose your battlefield carefully. Select 1 or 2 specific areas for focused development. Not 10 areas, not everything at once. What domain of growth calls to you most authentically? Where will improvement create the greatest positive impact across your life? Design daily practice. Create a simple, sustainable daily practice related to your chosen areas. Make it specific, measurable, and small enough that you can maintain it even on difficult days. The practice should be challenging but not overwhelming. Study yourself strategically. Pay attention to patterns. What circumstances support your growth? What derails you? What time of day works best for your practice? What environment brings out your best? Use this information to optimize your approach. Subtract before you add. Identify what needs to be released: habits, commitments, beliefs, possessions, or relationships. Create space for new growth by letting go of what no longer serves you. Commit fully. Once you've chosen your path, commit to it completely. Give it a genuine, sustained effort before evaluating. Release the constant second-guessing and just do the work. Think in decades, not days. Remember, this is a lifelong journey. Release the pressure to transform overnight. Focus on establishing sustainable practices you can maintain for years. Conclusion. The way continues. Miyamoto Musashi's life demonstrates that excellence comes not from talent or luck, but from relentless commitment to a path of continuous improvement. His teachings offer an alternative to the shallow, quick-fix approach that dominates modern self-help culture. Transformation requires honesty about where you are, clear strategy about where you're going, disciplined daily practice, willingness to adapt, courage to let go, full commitment to your choices, and patience for the long journey. This new year, instead of making another list of resolutions destined to fail by February, consider adopting the way of the warrior that Musashi embodied. Choose your path carefully, practice daily with full commitment, study yourself and your circumstances strategically, create space by releasing what doesn't serve you, and embrace the lifelong nature of the journey. The best version of yourself isn't waiting at some future destination. It emerges gradually through years of deliberate practice, honest self-examination, and unwavering commitment to your chosen path. As Musashi wrote near the end of his life, think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Your transformation matters not for ego gratification but for the unique contribution you can make by developing your capacities fully. The new year is simply another day on the path. But it can be the day you commit, with Musashi's spirit of total engagement, to walking that path with renewed clarity, discipline, and purpose. The way is long, but every master began as a beginner. Your journey starts with a single step, the decision to begin.